women too, I don't think that a lot of people understand how difficult it is for us, because we go through a 4-week cycle where it's like we're ovulating and then
we're back in your 20s right now. I know last time you saw us back in Miami, and our special guest right now is Maria. She's also from Evanston. And do you want to say a little bit more about yourself, Maria?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I graduated from Evanston in class of 17, and I'm a recent grad from DePaul. I graduated about a year ago. Right now I'm in between jobs, but I will be working for Peloton come September. So yeah, post-grad life, adult life, transitioning to like real adult life right now, and that's pretty much it.
I know that you also like a big fan of bodybuilding. How do you manage to do bodybuilding and also school?
Okay, so I actually didn't really get into bodybuilding until last year. So to run it back, how I got involved in bodybuilding is like kind of a funny story. So I lifted for a year prior to meeting my coach, whose name is Eric. And I kind of just like wanted to start off in the gym by myself, just out of like just trying to feel good, feel better, because like I was always athletic growing up and I always did sports growing up. And then when you get into college and like unless you're a D1 athlete, to be honest, like you're not really working out regularly. So I fluctuated a lot with my weight during undergrad, and I wanted to like get back into the gym and kind of, you know, just feel good about myself. So I started lifting for a year, and then I actually went through a really, really, really bad breakup this time last year. Oh. And when I was going through the breakup, I was like, you know what? I need to like do something for myself. Like I want to do a bodybuilding show. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was like, okay, this is something for me. Like nobody can stop me. This is something where I can be selfish and dedicate time to myself, because like bodybuilding it's extremely selfish. And my friend was like, hey, I have a really dope coach that I could set you up with. Like, talk to him, see if it aligns, and, like, we'll see where it goes. So I met with Eric, my now coach, and we hit it off completely. Like, we had the best chemistry. We had the best vibe. I felt like I could really trust him, and, like, my fitness goals aligned with what he was able to provide. And so from there, I started coaching with him, and we started acting as if, like, we're about to start a prep. So this time last year, I started going into like a bulk, like increasing my calories, getting in tune with like the workouts, the different style of like bodybuilding, all that. And then I'm just coming now off of my cut. I've been cutting since, I want to say end of March, April. Okay. And yeah, I haven't done a show yet, but God willing, hopefully in the future that aligns for me. And yeah, that's kind of like how I started with that sport, honestly.
So, like, speaking on the breakup, was it a high school sweetheart? Or like, you know...
yeah, you know... no, it was a boyfriend that I had post-grad. And it just so happened to be, like, my first boyfriend. And, yeah, it was just... timing didn't align between the two of us. We kind of grew apart, and that's really all that it was. But I will say that, like, heartbreak is great fuel for the gym. Like, it's the best pre-workout that you could... I didn't even start taking pre-workout until, like, a little bit ago. But, no, heartbreak will definitely do you good. And also, like, it's just nice to show yourself the love in the gym that you feel like you might not have received from another person, or that, like, you were eager to get, or, like, that validation. So, like, in a way, like, bodybuilding allowed me to show up for myself in like ways that like nobody else can, and it's my biggest form of self-love because I'm showing up for myself every day. You know what I mean?
I see a lot of TikToks like about like guys going through a breakup with girls, and then they like transform like to this amazing body. And I'm just like, damn. and I'm not gonna give him more credit than he deserves, because like at the end of the day, I'm doing this for me, and this is not for him. It's for nobody else except for me, because there's so much work that goes into it. But it was a great outlet for my emotions at the time, and now it's just a huge part of my life and like lifestyle in general. So would you say that, like, the breakup was, like, a good thing that happened? Because, like, I guess you, like, found bodybuilding now. And, like, that's, like, your main dedication, right?
Yeah, I think I'm like, a very firm believer in, like, literally everything happens for a reason. The relationship was no longer serving me, and I think I needed to mature in ways by myself, and, like, really took this past year to take a look at, like, who I am, what I want, and now I'm in a new relationship actually with like a man that I'm crazy in love with, like super grateful for, somebody who takes care of me in different ways, and somebody who I truly value. So it led me to be able to work on myself, to push me to be alone, to push me to be independent, and also just like align myself with my career and then be open to, you know, love in the future. So it worked out in all honesty.
And with your diet earlier, like how's that like though? Like your diet, you said you eat the same breakfast like every day for the past year?
So like, okay, so that's the biggest proponent, of like fitness and bodybuilding in general, is like people don't take into, it's not even about the working out, it's about the diet. Like the diet is literally the most difficult part of it all, because you could work out all day every day for a couple hours, but if you're not eating, and if you're not eating a lot, and if you're not eating with consistency and with quality, like you're not going to see any gains.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are like, and a lot of women too, like we're scared to eat or overeat, but we don't realize that we really need that fuel in order to be able to build muscle, to then shred it down and like be a little bit more toned.
Right.
So I think the consistency of meal prepping at the beginning was something that I had to get used to, but now like I was just telling you guys, like it's such a huge part of my life, where it's like I'm literally on, like I'll literally be getting my hair done, y'all, and I'll be like eating my tilapia with my rice and my broccoli, like mid foils, like talking to everybody at the shop. Like that's just how it is, and it's just a part of my life.
And what weight did you start off? Like what weight? Because I know you had to put like muscle. Well, how much pounds of muscle did you put on for the past year?
Yeah. So I want to say I started with my coach at about 145-ish pounds. Okay. And then my last weigh-in, I weighed in at about 135 pounds. Oh, okay. And I'm 5'3". So taking my stature into consideration, like that is a significant weight drop. And my goal was never to drop weight. I always just wanted to be super jacked. Like I wanted to be like a muscular queen. Like I'm very attracted to that physique for women, and I love women who are very muscular, very thick, very like juicier girls. I love girls like that. I was never into into like the skinny girl like aesthetic. Like I'm Latina, so I'm already a little bit built, and I already have like an athletic body in that sense. So I guess I just wanted to like enhance that, if anything.
Did you do any sports in high school or?
So I was a pom kit for all 4 years, and then I did karate actually for 4 years, and I was also a competitive swimmer. So like I always had some type of hobby or like some type of routine. And like I said, in undergrad, this is like the first time I didn't have a coach to report to. I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to deliver in that way. So I was just like really only just holding myself accountable. And like in college, you're super broke, and like the meals there, like they're not super healthy. And so I was just basically like struggling meal to meal, and like fitness wasn't like my main thing anymore. So I think that's kind of where I let myself go as far as fitness and physique wise. But like I truly do like strive and like do better when I have structure around me.
Okay. Any party phase did you went through? Because I know we went through some crazy ass shit, man.
Honestly, throughout undergrad, no. Throughout undergrad, I had to work a lot to be able to like sustain myself, my life, and like also just like being able to. It sounds dramatic, but honestly, to be able to eat, because you're like you're super broke in college.
You are, yeah.
And I went to DePaul, and even though I was close to home, I was staying in the dorms over there, and I pride myself on being like very independent. And so since I was away from home, like I was kind of in charge of my own stuff, understandably so. Like I'm grown now.
Right.
And I'm sorry, what was the question that you asked?
I was like, if you had like a party face.
And so yeah, I feel like just having that, I didn't get to party as much. Like I definitely had fun with some of my sorority sisters, some of my pledge sisters.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I would say that my party phase didn't come out until this past year, actually, like post undergrad, being a little bit more grown up. So that was interesting, but I think the party phase gets old very quick.
It does. No, it does. I agree.
You know, like, because then it's like you have the next day, like you don't feel good, you're hungover, you're dehydrated, and then it's like with me, I'm like working, I'm also doing like bodybuilding, and it's like the amount of time that it takes to recover from alcohol versus like the next day you have to get your meals and you have to be able to lift and everything, it's just not worth it for me.
Well, so yeah, speaking about like a hangover like me right now. Like I'm not gonna lie, like we got 3 hours of sleep and stuff.
Oh my god.
No, but we wake up. The podcast is always first. Where do you work at? Like what did you do during the fall?
Yeah, so during undergrad I was serving all 4 years. Like I was in like the restaurant industry, just that. And then when undergrad was wrapping up, I started panicking because I was like, oh my god, I don't have my big girl job secured yet. I knew that I always wanted to be a businesswoman. And I'm also the oldest out of my family, so I just have a lot of pressure on me in that sense.
Shit.
And like nobody really talks about what post grad life is gonna be like. So some of my homegirls, like they already had their corporate job lined up, or like some of them weren't even finished with school. So it's like you never really know what's gonna happen like post grad. And I was like, okay, like let me try to get an internship or like an entry level position, like see where it goes, because I don't have anything lined up. So I was able to secure a marketing internship in Chicago for an event company.
Okay.
And then through my marketing internship, I was like, okay, this is an unpaid internship. This is taking up a lot of my time. I need to still be serving. So I was serving while being a marketing intern. And then through the marketing internship, I got super close with the CEO of the company. And I was like, I'm going to do my best to impress him and make connections, because through internships is like when you want to land jobs.
Right.
And I was able to like develop a lot of like cool TikToks actually for him in the marketing internship, and like kind of play on my creative side and also with social media. And I felt like I was able to deliver him like good results. And he also knew that I was very passionate about fitness and like lifestyle in general. So a lot of the companies that I was applying to post-grad was like Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, New Balance.
Yeah.
Those were the companies that I really wanted to work for. Or like, do you guys know Complex? Like sneaker shopping with Complex, like Joe LaPuma. Yeah, so like I really wanted to work for Complex. It's like that was like my dream job. And at the time I was interviewing with some companies, or like I wouldn't hear back. And one day he was like, hey, we're gonna have a talk today with a bunch of different like people with different careers. There's a recruiter there from Peloton. Do you know like the bike company? Yeah. He's like, there's a recruiter there from Peloton. I know that you've been wanting to work for Peloton for a while and you've submitted applications to Peloton. Like, talk to her and see how it goes. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like at this point I had already applied to Peloton 5 times. They had told me no every single time. And because like I didn't have corporate experience yet, so like I needed to get my foot in the door. So I go to the meeting, and her and I end up talking a little bit, and I was like, okay, like let me add you on LinkedIn, let me follow up. I'll do my due diligence. So I followed up with her on LinkedIn, and she was like, hey, let's get on a call. I think you'd be really fit for this position. Apply, see what happens. Okay. And I was like, sick, didn't think anything of it. Like I had gotten so many no's from so many corporate jobs. I was like, nothing's gonna happen. And then I got the email for the first interview. And then after the first interview, they're like, here's a second interview. And then after the second interview, they're like, here's a third interview. And I was like, oh my God, like this is really happening. Like I'm interviewing with Peloton.
Right.
And I interviewed with them for about a month. And then right before Thanksgiving of this past year is like when I officially got my offer from Peloton. So
congrats.
Yeah, I was really excited. And then let me step back. So even before that, I was working at a PR and marketing firm, which is like my first big girl offer, but this is like my second bigger girl offer. So I was like, I'll work at a marketing PR firm in the meantime, save up money, and then come September I'm moving to New York next month for Peloton. They're relocating me to New York. So yeah, I'll be in New York next month.
And you're first generation too Latina, right?
Yeah, well, I was born in Colombia, and then I moved to the States when I was very young. So I'm not first gen, but my sisters are first gen. I was born there.
What part of Colombia are you from?
Cali.
Cali? Mm-hmm. All right, this is like off topic. I've seen Narcos so many times.
Oh my God.
So, I'm not gonna... yo, that's how old were you when you came over here?
Oh man, I was really young when I came to the States. I want to say maybe like 2. Didn't know any English. Like Spanish is my first language. Only learned how to speak English like with school, to be honest.
And you grew up in Evanston or Chicago?
Yeah, in Evanston. Well, I fluctuated a little bit between Chicago at the first, I want to say probably couple of years, but then we moved to Evanston later on. So yeah, This is my home. I mean, I was born here, but you know.
Do you miss like sometimes Colombia then? Because I'm assuming you go back and forth sometimes.
Yeah, I miss Colombia. Like a lot of my family's in Colombia. Like I honestly don't have that much family in the States.
Oh wow.
A lot of my cousins, my primos, my primas, my abuelas, like everybody's over there. So it's always nice to go. I miss it. I mean, the culture's amazing. The food is amazing.
Well,
it's very warm.
What's different from over there to like the Mexican food that you've tried over here?
The Mexican food?
We're Mexican. We're all Mexicans right here. So.
Oh, you know what? I don't know. I would say like Colombian food is a little bit more like Caribbean, if that makes sense. Like we have like plantains, like more like the beans and the rice, like the steak, a lot of seafood.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of that influence. But I did grow up with like Mexican friends and stuff, and like, I mean, y'all's food is banging. Like I had Mexican food last night.
Anything overrated that you're just like, nah, this does not hit.
I don't know. Honestly, I love Mexican food so much. Like literally last night I had. What did I have last night? I had like dos tacos de camarón, un taco de chorizo. Damn. Yeah, my man's right now, he's Muslim, so I gotta chill on the pork. Yeah. I'm trying to chill on that, but no, chorizo is like banging.
You ever had chorizo with eggs?
Uy, chorizo con huevo.
I feel like that's
so
overrated.
good.
That's a Mexican
I don't
staple,
like that.
bro.
What's that white cheese that y'all have?
Oh fuck, I know what it's called. I say la chapala.
Like is it cojita?
Oaxaqueño.
I don't know, but it's like kind of. No, it's like crumbly.
Is it the thing they put in elotes or what?
Queso fresco.
Yeah,
I hate that.
maybe it's queso fresco.
It might be queso fresco.
So fire. Oh my god, I could eat that every day. It's literally so good. And my coach is Mexican too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So like we're able to bond in that regard as far as like being Latinos in the like fitness space, which is really nice, to be honest.
And do you travel a lot too, or?
I do travel a lot. My family has been fortunate enough to allow us to travel a lot growing up. They weren't crazy people when it came to like materialistic stuff. Mm-hmm. So they were very big on like, let's give our kids the experience to be able to travel. So I've been able to travel a lot. And then my junior year of undergrad, I was like, even if I'm in Chicago, one goal that I made for myself was to study abroad. So I studied in Madrid for about like 6 months in Spain. Oh. And that was amazing, like just getting to be in Europe kind of by myself. Mm-hmm. And just travel all like a good part of Europe, to be honest. So yeah, I feel like that contributed to like some of my independence and also like just my love for travel and culture in general. So that was pretty cool, honestly.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like this question doesn't really get talked a lot. Growing up, I've also had like white friends, and I'm Hispanic. We're both Hispanic, all of us. Did you see like a difference between when you go to your friend's house compared to like your house, like rules, the way they talk to their parents?
Oh yeah, it was like that was a big thing that I struggled with growing up because at the time when I was growing up, my parents didn't have as much money or that security that they've been able to work towards having now with my sisters. And so there was always discrepancies between like what I could afford and like what my white counterparts could afford. Like my white friends, like they'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to Camp Echo for the whole summer, like blah blah blah. Camp Echo. My parents are like, shipping you off where? Like they're like, nah, it's too expensive, shorty. Like nah, or like, sleepovers, absolutely no, like very strict. Like, and I'm a girl too, so like they're automatically stricter with that. There was always discrepancies, and I think like I didn't really understand that growing up, but I feel like it's nice seeing my sisters now be able to like, they're definitely more Americanized than I am, but they're able to like fit in a bit more and like disguise themselves, whereas like I wasn't granted that opportunity, which I'm grateful for. I think it's made me strong in many ways. Yeah. But it's just different. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, there's always like very visible differences with that.
That's cool. And in 5 years, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years from now?
In 5 years, I would like to be a successful businesswoman. So just really like further on into my career, God willing, everything goes well with Peloton and I love it. I'm hoping that Peloton is a stepping stone for me to be able to, eventually one day work for Nike or work for Adidas or Under Armour. Working at a company that brings me happiness. I want to be successful. I want to be very happy and like we'll see where that goes.
Do you see bodybuilding in the future or no? Because me and Gerson need some tips.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to get some bigger arms,
well,
man.
the diet is the main key.
You know what? I don't think that competing for bodybuilding is something that's sustainable, like, especially because it's such a selfish sport where it's like, if you have a corporate job and if you have other things, like, it's really hard to fully commit to that. I think I'll always have fitness in the forefront, and I want to be able to lift even when I'm pregnant. Like, I want to be belly out, lifting weights, like, doing my thing. But I don't know if it's bodybuilding, but I'll definitely, God willing, like, if I'm able to, like, of course, like, I'll definitely be weightlifting, putting in work. It's so much fun for me, to be honest.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
No, and you said you don't want to bodybuild, like, right now, right? Or are you just working your way up to build the body you want?
So I think this year was a really good year for me to build that foundation of, like, understanding how meals go, what a prep might look like. But right now, for me to commit to a show, I'm in transition. Like I was telling y'all, I'm leaving to move to New York next month. So for me, preparing for a show right now, I wouldn't have the time or the resources to do so. Okay. So maybe when I'm more settled into New York, when I have my finances, that's another thing. The sport is very expensive. Yeah. Like coaching, the meals, it adds up very quickly. So unless you have like an income that you can be a little bit more flexible with, like it's not something that you're able to fully commit to, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Maybe in the future I'll do a show. I'm always tempted to just like do one show and challenge myself. Just say like F it. Yeah. But we'll see.
No, yeah. What's it called? The diet's fucking expensive as fuck. Chicken right now, I gotta go to Costco. It's like what, 7 of them, like $20 right now. It's
not. It's also like I eat a lot of like seafood, like salmon, shrimp, tilapia, whitefish, like tuna, and like that's what adds up. And the supplements, like the protein, like
creatine is
the
up
creatine,
right now,
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets very expensive for sure. And like also, people don't talk about this, but competing as a woman versus competing as a man is completely different, right? Like. Men don't have to worry about like their stage jewelry or the heels that you order or some of the suits for the girls. They're like upwards of $700-$800. Just the suits.
Are you kidding me?
The little bikini that you wear on stage for a minute and a half or not even that. Literally almost $1,000 for that.
You keep the tag to return it? Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah, so it's that, and then it's like the nails, and then it's like the hair, the extensions, the makeup, the tan. It all adds up. And also, there's still discrepancies in the sport where their prizes are a lot higher in monetary value than they are for women. So there's still that discrepancy in the sport where it's like there's more women coming into this space, but it's still male dominated, and there's like there's still like some misogyny like in the sport that needs to be worked through, to be honest.
Well, what's the prize compared to like, women and men? Like, what do they win? What's the difference of the
of like the cash value?
Yeah.
In all honesty, I don't know, but I think when I was watching the Olympia last year, like it was like thousands of dollars worth difference. I think if I may be wrong, but that's what I recall. Don't quote me on it. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind too.
What?
Yeah.
No, that's insane. What the heck? I know. Do you know IFBB Pro?
Yeah.
So I follow a lot of like fitness. I don't know if you know Jesse James West or like Greg Doucette. You ever heard of those names?
I'm really bad with names, but I'm better with faces.
Chris Bumstead?
Yes, yeah, okay. I love a good C-bump.
I feel like everybody knows him.
We know him. We actually saw Chris Herrera. What's his name?
Oh, yeah, Chris Herrera. I don't know if you know who that is. He I
don't know.
Does calisthenics, but yeah. Okay. We saw him in Miami.
Yeah, right in front of us too. Right in front of us.
Yeah.
I like how guys call C-bum daddy. They'd be like, that makes me laugh so hard. Like, guys will like fiend over C-bum, and I'm so here for it. I'm like, yes. I love that. I love that.
He's a great physique. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Weekends.
Yeah, he has that classic physique.
You said what?
You see me and Pedro on the weekend.
We just go there for free. Yeah. I'm like, Hazel, I'm just gonna go over there to the fucking gym, checking out C-Bum, bro.
Can you imagine like C-Bum's shoulder pressing 200 pounds right next to you?
Fucking.
It's insane.
What's your favorite what's your favorite body part I like to lift?
My favorite body part, I would say chest. Chest is my favorite body part.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a leg day type of guy.
Leg?
You?
I love training back.
Back, really?
Yeah, really? I love training back. Yeah, and now that my coaches taught me a lot about posing, learning how to release my lats and make myself have a nasty ass back lat spread, I think it's
Like Dorito bag? That's what they call it. That's like that's a
yeah,
term.
Dorito bag.
Dorito
Exactly.
Bag.
Yeah, my coach and I always joke that we have really great backs. So it's fun posing with him and like having a really juicy back. And I think for women like yeah, I love it.
Wait, what's a pose? So we can like me and Garrison can what's a pose you do? Or like I always see people like going like this and stuff.
Yeah, like that's like a front double bicep or like a lat spread is my favorite. I always post my lat spreads on my Instagram stories.
Okay. And then back's your favorite one though. How many times have you hit it a day or a week? I mean.
Back is only hit once a week, but I do upper body 3 times a week and then lower body twice a week. And I hate training legs.
Really?
I hate training legs. Real gym girlies will tell you like upper body is so much better to train. I feel like in comparison, because legs drains you. Like
yeah, it does.
When I train with my coach, I'm not sure if y'all have seen some of my training sessions with my coach on my Instagram, but on my leg days, like I'm ready to throw up. And
your coach, like, he looks like Christian Guzman. Yeah, no, I've seen him. Yeah, he's like juiced up. Yeah.
And no, leg days are disgusting. Like you feel like throwing up, like you're crying, shitting, screaming, throwing up. Like it's not a good time. I love a good upper body day. It's a little bit lighter. Like you still put in work, but it's not as like deadly as a leg day is.
Are you scared of carbs though? I know a lot of people are scared of carbs, like carbing up and stuff like sushi, rice.
No, because carbs are essential to be able to make the gains. Like I said, like I think I stopped being afraid of food in that sense. And like now that I've been cutting for so long, my carbs have been cut down a bit more. And I was like literally begging my coach last week. I was like, hey, let's bring my carbs up. Like I'm fatigued. I'm exhausted. I've lost strength because I've been like when you cut, like sometimes you lose strength because you aren't eating as much. Mm-hmm. And mind you, like I might not be as like toned or as snatched, but if I could be super strong and have like a higher carb count, by all means.
Did you ever have like a mental? You had even like a mental break with all this like losing weight? I only asked it because I was right now I'm at 160, but I was 25 pounds lighter. So I was like at a point of anorexia. I don't know if you remember like 2 years ago. You see the photos. I was like, I'd count my carbs, I count my macros. I became addicted to the scale. Like. I will look in the mirror I would weigh myself 3 times a day. If I saw the scale go up 2 pounds midday, even though I'm drinking like water and stuff, I'd become obsessed and I'd go run 3 up to 4 times a day. So I became very unhealthy. I became, like you said, fatigued, tired, you name it. And I just had an unhealthy relationship with it, you know. That's why I'm asking the question too.
That's a great question. I think I was fortunate enough to always have a really great relationship with food growing up. Whereas, like, I always looked at food, and you know, Latinos, like, we look at food as enjoyment, and, like, your parents always want to feed you. So I'm thankful that I was able to start off with a good foundation as far as having a great relationship with food, but I do see certain obsessive patterns in myself that could be unhealthy. It's more so having the mental strength to pull myself out of it and be like, hey, this is only something that's temporary, or, like, it's not good to be this obsessive, like... To give you examples, I do feel a lot of guilt sometimes, like when it comes to eating certain desserts or things like that, or if I'm not tracking all day, like I do kind of feel out of whack. Mm-hmm. These past 2 weeks that I've kind of been at the tail end of my cut, I've dealt with a lot of body dysmorphia because I'm like, hey, I've lost a certain amount of weight. I want to maintain this physique, but also I don't want to cut forever. And also just like... For women, too, I don't think that a lot of people understand how difficult it is for us because we go through a 4-week cycle where it's like we're ovulating and then we're menstruating and then, you know, like women literally only have 1 week out of the month where we feel normal, where we feel mentally sane and like somewhat leveled. Right. The rest of those weeks, it's our bodies putting us through bloating, through periods, through whatever. And also, like, y'all can eat a carb, y'all can eat a piece of bread. If I eat a piece of bread, I'm already up 5 pounds. Like, the way that men process food and they're able to fluctuate in weight is insane in comparison to women.
Damn.
So I would say, like, major kudos to any woman who is in the bodybuilding space or just, like, in fitness in general because, like, our bodies, like... It's significantly harder for us as women to be able to maintain physique, and our bodies fluctuate so much in comparison to men. I'll work out with my boyfriend, and we'll be deadlifting, whatever, and I'm like, all right, perfect. Like, I've already burned 300 calories. I look at his Apple Watch. Shorty's already burned 700 calories. I'm like, man, what? And I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm putting in just as much effort, if not more than you.
Right.
And it's just different. Like, the way that y'all burn calories, the way that y'all process food is different.
It's crazy, yeah.
And so, like, as women, I think it's important to, like, not be as hard on yourselves, because, like, it really does have to do with, like, what part of your cycle you're on in that month. And also, like, bloating is a really big thing too. So I try to give myself grace when I can, and also just realize, like, hey, you know what? Majority of the population doesn't even really work out.
That is true.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm doing more, not even on some cocky stuff, but I'm doing more, I'm putting in more effort than the regular person will be. So I'm doing something good for myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there any, like, woman influencer that, like, motivated you to do what you're doing right now?
Yes, I would say my favorite bodybuilder right now is Valerie. Excuse me, I don't know her last name, but I'm gonna go look it up.
Shout her out.
I don't know.
Shout her out. Chris Bum who? What?
She's amazing. Valerie Rattel. She's actually Canadian and French, and she's a figure competitor. So her physique is a bit more developed than what I would want to compete for, but
Oh shit. Oh, she's the IFBB figure.
yeah,
pro.
she got her pro card last year, and she just qualified for the Olympia. So I'm rooting for her. I've DM'd her before. She's so sweet.
She responded to you too.
She responded to my DM. She's responded to some of my comments.
She's peeled.
Yeah, she's really cool. And then I'll show you some other. I want to shout out all the girlies, because I'm so
Yeah, shout them out. Shout out. Yeah.
I admire all the girlies in this space. Gabby Fortune, major girl crush, obsessed with her.
So, like,
I mean, her quads are insane.
Really?
Whoa, she does have massive quads.
She's like stupid physique. Look how juicy her arms are. Like, that's so attractive to me. I love that.
She's sponsored by what's it?
Dark Sport. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I've seen her before.
Dude, yeah, she's shredded.
Yeah, and she's awesome. I've DM'd her as well. She's responded to me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
Actually, this is funny, y'all. I DM'd her, and I said, with my coach, I was like, Eric, like, let's both DM her. Like, let's see what she responds to. And he's like, bet I'm about to DM her right now. I was like, bet I'm about to DM her right now, too. And, like, I wake up the next morning, and I'm like, yo, this girl responded to me. Eric was like, she responded to you? What did she say? I responded to her. I DM'd her. I said, we're dating in my head. I love you, heart. She said, you're my girlfriend. I'll see you tonight, heart.
What?
Literally. and I said, send over engagement rings whenever. And it was me and my coach were cracking up. I was like, ha ha, she responded to me, but not you. Like, you're dusty.
Damn.